What's going on, everybody? My name is C4. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're for a new Madden 24 realistic rebuild of the Carolina Panthers, a team that's gone under a lot over the past 12 months. One was trading a bunch of picks for a quarterback that they're now a little uncertain about. I am still showing full personal confidence in Bryce Young that he is the guy. I think it's just not a great landing spot. And I know it's not necessarily an easy discussion or comparison to have, but it's if Bryce Young went to Houston and CJ Stroud went to Carolina. We did a video on that. You can go check it out, a little Madden sim. But I think in real life, if that happened, I think the narrative around Bryce Young would be different. I think the talent around him in Carolina, I don't think Frank Reich made life easy on him. And that is why they went out and got a new head coach in Dave Canales, which I'll show you what schemes we're rocking and rolling with here in a second, which I got some help on that from the old Twitterverse. But I think there's still a really good player here in Bryce Young, and I don't think this first rookie season is what he's going to be. I've already seen it. Obviously, there's people that jump in the gun, saying that Bryce Young's a bust, this and that. I think when you have arguably the worst skill position supporting cast in the league, and it pains me to say that because Canadian Chuba Hubbard, who saw it, I'm going to give him a shot here in this one. But, you know, they paid money for Miles Sanders when they shouldn't have, and that didn't really work out. You got a journeyman in Hayden Hurst as your starting tight end. He's average, which is not a shot at him. An average tight end, an average starting tight end, when you have, like, say, really good wide receivers or a really good run game, you know, you can make it work. But, you know, where's Bryce Young's go-to? Laviska Shenault's like a gadget player. DJ Chark's like the veteran. Mingo is, I think there's some upside with Mingo. I liked him a lot at Ole Miss, but he's not the guy, especially as a rookie, that's going to, you know, it would be nice to say Jonathan Mingo could have been like a tank down. Maybe he would have with a better offensive coordinator. But that's going to be our biggest priority here in this rebuild, is fixing the offense. And honestly, the defense needs as much fixing, but I think right now, short term, it's getting Bryce Young back on track. Finding a way for him to get off that start, have to hit superstar, maybe get up to an X Factor somewhere. How can we juice up that development there a little bit, because we're only going to go as far as Bryce Young is going to take us. And I know the Panthers can be good. We've seen firsthand in my Arizona Cardinals main channel franchise, we were a juggernaut squad. We lost to Bryce Young and the Panthers, who won the Super Bowl, the most recent Super Bowl that we had in our main channel franchise. So there is that type of ceiling for this Panthers team. You just got to put the work in, which I'm excited to do. So, I mean, in reality, we're going to, I'm going to try and go Chuba Hubbard, like, you know, a Hubbard-Sanders backfield. I think that's more so, too, for Miles Sanders. It's too expensive to move on from. At wide receiver, I like Mingo's upside, but we probably need two starting wide receivers. On the offensive line, there's been concerns that maybe get a kick Ekwonu from tackle inside to guard. I think we try and go under the assumption that a new offensive coordinator will get him back to playing where you need him to play at left tackle. But outside of that, you know, we probably are going to need a new center. We're probably going to need a new guard over Brad Christmason, right? We're going to need a new tight end. That's a lot. That's going to be hard to do. We're not going to be able to do this in one offseason. On the defensive side, now it's a 3. I've been a little bit annoyed that the last couple of rebuilds we've done are 3-4 defenses, because 3-4 defenses are fucking terrible in Madden sim. But that's where we're at. And if this is our 3-4, well, we got Derek Brown on the front three. Needs help, though. We need a nose tackle. We need another 3-4 defensive end. We got Brian Burns, Shaq Thompson, Frankie Louvu, and Gross Matos make up the rest of our front seven. Brian Burns, Doug, Shaq Thompson, pretty much going to keep him till the wheels fall off. Frankie Louvu's an impending free agent. At least now in this new scheme, he's not classified as an outside linebacker. It's a middle linebacker, so they're going to pay him $75 million. If you want to try to re-sign him, which I'm going to, I think he's a very, very versatile linebacker, and I want to be a part of this squad going forward. We got Jeremy Chin, who's also set to be a free agent. You know, I don't think we're, you know, it looks likely IRL that both Chin and Louvu are going to hit the open market. I don't know how Panther fans feel about that, but that's kind of the assumption I'm getting. Outside, looking in, we don't have enough talent to let those guys walk. And I know we have more than enough salary cap to make competitive offers, try to keep them in the building. That is going to be my intention. But looking at the backside here, you know, probably get another edge rusher that might be able to give us a little more juice, a little more upside than Gross Matos. But I feel all right about our safety room. We got Von Bell, Xavier Woods, Jeremy Chin. We had Dante Jackson, the Horn Dog, J.C. Horn. Probably throw another corner. I mean, Dante Jackson is getting up there in age a little bit as well. So, might need a corner, might need a safety, might need an edge, definitely need help on the D-line. So it's going to take a couple years for us to get this thing rolling, but I think at the end of the day, with Dave Canales at the helm, a new era will be ushered in here. And Dave Canales is a man that made Baker Mayfield look legit. But however, going on Twitter, I was like, man, is the Bucs playbook even going to work? Is it even going to be the bump we need to make the Panthers go on and win a Super Bowl? And I had multiple people come and say, the Bucs playbook is not the Dave Canales playbook. If I wanted something, the closest thing to like a sim Dave Canales playbook, I'm going to want to rock and roll with Seattle. I don't think I've ever done a Seattle franchise yet. So I have no idea what the Seattle playbook is capable of. I think my biggest worry going in this rebuild is obviously we're going to change up for the head coach, but the Panthers' offensive playbook in sim is decent. That playbook is good enough to just put Bryce Young up there for top 10 in top 5 in passing numbers. That offense, that sim offense is good enough to get them to a Super Bowl. This is one of those rare rebuilds where I'm going to be switching the scheme because you got it because it's a new coach. I don't know if the scheme that I'm replacing this with is as good, at least in the eyes of Madden 24, as the one that we're going to be rocking with. So that will be something to keep an eye on. But I had people reach out and say, if I want to do a Dave Canales here on the Panthers, we don't go Tampa Bay, we go with Seattle. And in my head, I'm like, all right, Seattle, are we going to be able to have that DK Metcalf, JSN, Tyler Lockett type sim offense with, I've seen some pretty, the thing I know about the Seattle sim is Kenneth Walker can have some pretty big years with that playbook. So that could bode well, especially if we want to get a Chuba Hubbard kind of development arc going here. But it's going to be very interesting. I have no idea how this is going to rock and roll, but I'm very confident that our franchise team from last year, we will find a way with over the next 5 seasons to bring them a Super Bowl title. And it all starts with the 0-0 offseason. So without further ado, let's get into year 1 of this franchise rebuild. Before we get into that, I do need to give a quick shout out to today's video sponsor. Listen up, football fans. This is the last weekend of the year to get your football bets in. I've teamed up with DraftKings, and right now is the perfect time to take your shot at the crown. DraftKings is giving all new customers $200 in bonus bets instantly when they place their first $5 bet on anything. There is no time like the present. Download the DraftKings app right now and sign up using my promo code C4. The crown is yours. Wondering what you can use your $200 in bonus bets on? Combine multiple bets together from Super Bowl 58 for a shot at an even bigger payout. If you've already signed up for DraftKings, you can make a bet on Super Bowl 58 and get a bonus bet back. Get a bonus bet in the amount of your initial wager. Max rewards vary. If sports betting is not yet available in your state or province, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy and have a shot at winning cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use my promo code C4 and bet just $5 on any wager and get $200 in bonus bets back instantly. That's promo code C4 only at DraftKings Sportsbook. So you might have noticed the first omission to the squad when I was previewing the roster. No Adam Thielen, who is wide receiver 1 for the Carolina Panthers. That's because he just decided to retire after 11 seasons. And that's a little bit of a bummer because he would have been a great one-year rental going into year 1. Nice veteran. Exactly what he was IRL for the Panthers. I would have loved to have that for one more year. But unfortunately, he's sick and tired of the suck and has dipped. All right, so we have $78 million. We're going to start with the easiest option, which is pick up the 5th-year option of J.C. Horn at corner. But other than that, we are going to have one opportunity to bid on pretty much anyone that we want to keep. And I'd say we get rid of a lot of depth, even though we got a Canadian there, Luigi Villain. We're not going to be biased. We'll be biased to some Canadians, but not all Canadians. And the one Canadian that we will cash in on is our running back. So outside of that, Gross Matos, meh. CJ Henderson, meh. Chanel, meh. Chark, meh. Frankie Lou's the first one. Definitely want to keep him here. But we only have one chance to negotiate with these guys. So it's going to be a little risque. We'll go 4 years, 38 mil. And we got Frankie Louvu signed on. We got Brian Burns. This is going to be a big one, especially because in this 3-4, is he going to justify this price tag? I already know he's not going to. But what's his interest? His interest is, that's a respectable interest for how shitty the Panthers have been. So we'll bump that up just a little bit. Just to make sure we get this one over there. 5-year, 87. Congrats. We have Jeremy Chin. We'll go player friendly. Keep him until he's 29. I'll bump that up. We'll go 3 years, 19 and a half. Okay. Okay, big dog. What's his franchise tag? That is way too much. Way too much of a franchise tag for Jeremy Chinn. I'm going to be honest with you, though. Probably going to try to rebid on him in the open market. I'll honestly go with the same offer. I don't think the market's going to be as strong as he thinks it is. But I'm not going to take this as a burned bridge. Because I know the Panthers have been shit. Let you hit the open market. I want to bring you back. You know, you get that fishing rod. You know, you go... You reel it back in. We'll see if we can get him. So we're going all in here. This is the most money I've definitely spent in year 0 of a realistic rebuild so far here in Madden 24. But that is the extent of how terrifyingly bad I think this roster is here in Carolina. And how quickly I think we need assistance. I'm not going to be able to just fix it through the draft and be kind of passive and sit back in free agency. I also don't think we have a lot of impending free agents now that we got Brian Burns under contract. Louvu under contract, right? We got Horn Dog coming up, right? Horn Dog, Iquanu. And after that, like that, we're going to be able to handle that with just the salary cap raising up. We need to be a little bit aggressive. I was seeing Josh Allen here and thinking, could that salvage this 3-4? Josh Allen on one side, Brian Burns on the other. But then I decided to make a pivot because usually if you find to get production in a 3-4, it tends to be on that front 3. So we have Derek Brown. We need a nose tackle. We need another defensive end. So that is why I have gone after Christian Wilkins. 28, right on the cutoff of like where I think we should be targeting players, right? Because obviously the age, and we're not going to be a competitive roster, at least in his 30s. But I don't think he's going to regress too bad. And I think this will be an alright offer. We didn't overpay either. I just gave him like a regular yellow offer, if you will. And it's still the top offer right now. We got Michael Pittman. We need a wide receiver 1. And he could be a wide receiver 1. We could still be aggressive. Go find that wide receiver 2 in the draft. But wide receiver 1 is very important for us. Jeremy Chinn threw him just a terrible offer. No one else is offering. Hit the open market. Cam Curl is also a really nice safety. And I feel like even though we have Xavier Woods and Von Bell there, they're 28, 29. We could probably get rid of them and just retool the entire safety room. Cam Curl at strong safety. Move Jeremy Chinn to free safety. I want to try to do it. We're going to try to be aggressive. See if we can get all 4. We probably won't. But we did. Let's go. So I threw Von Bell up on the trade block. Now we can look and see if we can move him and Xavier Woods. He is a start-F safety. We got a very interesting offer here from the Steelers. Calvin Austin, who I know can be a hell of a utility player, and a future 5th-round pick. We will take that easily just to get Von Bell's contract off the books. For Xavier Woods got great value here from the Colts. Colts actually were offering me a 5th, a 6th, and Alec Pierce, who's a 76, second-year wide receiver. Felt like that was a little rich. Probably wouldn't be giving up Alec Pierce, who, especially, they already got rid of Michael Pittman, couldn't resign to pay him. So Alec Pierce, probably the wide receiver 2 there. I felt that was a little unrealistic. So instead of a 5-6 and a player that was unrealistic, I was like, what about just like a 4th-round pick? If you're that interested in him, and that was good enough to get this one over the line, 4th-round pick is for this upcoming draft. All right, we don't have a 1st-round pick. Thank you, Bryce Young. But we do have at least the 1st pick of the 2nd round, so we can get our choice of whoever surprisingly fell out of the 1st round. The board does not look that great. No real surprises. So wide receiver was one that we could definitely look at being aggressive at, because even with the addition of Michael Pittman, and we have Mingo as a depth trade, you probably still need that 2nd wide receiver. We have Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU, 6'4". Troy Franklin, another guy, big-time speed. Tez Walker, who's nice, but like wide receivers tend to fall. Look at how many of these 1st-rounders are still there. Like you almost got to question, is one of these guys who definitely could fill the role as wide receiver, are they going to be there in the 3rd round? Because if they're going to be in the 3rd round, I think that is where the value is going to be. So I'll pass. I did scout Jatavian Sanders a little bit. He looks, you know, he's definitely not Brock Bowers, but he's definitely a decent tight end prospect. Probably gives us a little more juice than Hayden Hurst would. Other needs, let's see across the offensive line, Patrick Paul, but we don't really need a tackle right now. Need more so guard, center, interior lineman. Zach Frazier. I was kind of hoping the center there from Oregon was still going to be on the board. Because honestly, that might have been the best value pick that we could have made. So then you kind of go on to the defense. We need a nose tackle. Unfortunately, we've used Devondre Sweat a lot. He's been easily the most popular player I've drafted using these realistic classes. This is actually the most up-to-date Bengal. Bengal reached out and said he has a new version, and he does. New version. It came out like a couple days ago. So go get that. If you want the most up-to-date draft class, I'm going to need to follow suit and update my 2025 one promptly. I might get to that this weekend. But, yeah, I will resist Devondre Sweat. It's just more so I play a lot of 3-4 teams. That's what I've been doing and rebuilding, and Devondre Sweat's really the only good nose tackle that is available. But if we decide to pass on that, we do need a 3-4 edge rusher. Jonah Ellis, probably the best option there. Chris Braswell, potentially. Did he make him a freaky athlete? Bruce Feldman's freaks list could maybe be a little more freaky than I was hoping for. Corner. What do we got at corner? I did sick out Lassiter from Georgia. We do need another corner still. And this might be our best get. Our best potential option right now. The question is he going to have a dev trade? Because right now, we need to make sure, with no first-round pick, that whoever we select has a dev trade. Because if we get a normal dev player, that is going to be an absolute wet fart. I mean, Braylon Trice could be a doc. Put him at 3-4 defensive end. A tackle, B power, A block shed, 6'4", 274. Combine elite acceleration. That might be the move. I feel like he has a better shot at having a dev trait than Lassiter. Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. Yes, let's go. Braylon Trice, welcome to Carolina. All right, first pick of the third round. And the good news is we gambled that their wide receivers would fall. And we'd be able to get someone juicy. And that is still the case here. I was kind of hoping Ladd McConkey, but we have Jalen Polk and Xavier Legette still on the board. Polk, double Bs. Ran a 4.5, 4.46. Legette is a big-time athlete, and if it's reflected as such, 4.3, I think that's probably going to be our target, unless Jatavian Sanders is still there. He is not. Do we have a center? Cedric Van Pran still there. He's good. Cooper Beebe at guard, not bad. No nose tackles. We got our edge. What's still a corner? TJ Tampa's still there. If you want your height, weight, speed type corner. Sandstrill at slot. If I get Sandstrill in the 4th, converted wide receiver, love watching him in Michigan. Absolute dog in the slot. What's Tampa's speed? He is A press, B zone, 6'2". Ran a 4.4. It's also pretty good. I think we go wide. I think we go Legette. I think he's the most exciting player available. Don't know if he's going to have a dev trade. If he doesn't, so be it. And no dev. All right, so take a look at our draft recap. Now, unfortunately, we got a 2-point hit by moving Braylon Trice from right defensive end, where he was a 74, to a right outside linebacker, where he's 72. But luckily, the hidden dev trait still gives him a whole lot of upside. I think for not having a first-round pick, a dev trait, you know, we got the upside there. And it's a 3-4. They're probably, let's be honest, he's probably not going to do any worse than Brian Burns, even though there's a giant rate discrepancy. I'm just not that optimistic about it. We got Legette, 73 normal. Kalen Carson, 72 normal. So we're getting some pretty good depth. Johnny Wilson was a 71 wide receiver. And I'd hate to bring up Kelvin Benjamin. But, we're trying this. Another big Florida State wide receiver. I'm going to move him to tight end right away. And we're going to see. That's going to be our little project right there. Can Johnny Wilson, is he going to be a dog for us? Got some nice depth there. Scheme fits to kind of close out the draft there a little bit. But 4 70s with no first-round picks, 2 of which, maybe even 3, end up being starters. Not a bad start here, given how big of a free agency we had, getting all that star talent. So we're at 1-1 after 2 weeks. We get our first breakout scenario. I think with the amount of normal dev players we do have, and obviously this is a little bit of a different case because it's Brian Burns. I'm looking to make the jump from Superstar to X Factor, but we have a lot of normal dev players that are starting. So I'm going to be optimistic, cautiously optimistic, that we'll get a couple more dev trade scenarios than if we had a team that was all star dev'd up with a bunch of superstars, which is always a positive of doing a rebuild such as this. We have the Atlanta Falcons up next. Winnable. Good game to get a breakout against. Not a great offensive line. And we kicked the living shit out of them. What? 52-7? No X-Fact. I mean, X-Fact, that's a tough one to get in the sim. But who went off here? Is this a running back? Was this a wide? It was, what? How did we get 52 points and the only one that got it was Shaq Thompson on the defensive side of the ball? What? Deep dive on this one. 52 at 24 in the fourth. Caleb Williams had 5 interceptions. What the fuck? Bryce Young had 175 yards and a touchdown. 81 and a touchdown there for Chuba Hubbard. Maybe I should have broke this down. I did move Calvin Austin to the running back spot. Miles Sanders got a touchdown. I think we're going to talk about him. Bryce Young had 2 tuds. So we got a lot of rushing. I mean, this is one of those ones where it's like, it's a little bit of a bummer that we didn't have the offensive explosion that you would assume you would have got. Johnny Wilson, the tight end, the rookie tight end with another touchdown. But, I mean, on the other side, glad the defense is thriving as such. Derek Brown, Brian Burns, both getting sacks. We got a Brian Burns, Shaq Thompson, Dante Jackson, Horn Dog, and Cam Curl. Wow. So the midway point of year 1, it's a rebuild. Somehow we're first place. It's an ugly NFC South, which is benefiting us. But, I mean, we put up some big wins. A huge win, 50 bomb, not too long ago. Big-time defensive performance. Our defense, I mean, we invested heavily. Cam Curl, Wilkins, right? We spent money on the re-signed Luvu. So I don't think the defense itself, even though we didn't complete it, it's not a complete defense across the board, should definitely be the strength of this team right now as we try to catch up the offense as much as we can. So that's kind of good. Looking at some contracts, our salary cap. Now, we spent a lot. And with that, you know, we still have a lot of money to be playing around with here. So we want to be smart. I'm going to throw Chuba Hubbard a 4-year deal, $30 million. I'm going to use my Canadian bias and gamble that he's going to be a pretty damn good player for us. Austin Corbett, I think 2-year deal is a perfect time frame for us to get a successor at some point, especially once the Madden generated draft classes come up, because I could just linemen grow on trees. I think Dante Jackson on a 1-year deal, not bad at all, especially because he's interested on a 1-year deal. And then that gives us 1 more year. Kick that can down the road to find his successor at corner. Shaq Thompson, this would be a guy that I'd prefer to get on a 1-year. He seems, maybe a 2-year. 2-year, let's see if we can give him a juicy 2-year. 2-year, 21. I hope at that point, though, you're kind of playing with fire, that he might just lose his depth rate straight up off of his age, not so much of his performance. But maybe we'll get away with it. And then the big money here, got to go to Derek Brown on the defensive line. We'll go player-friendly. 4-year, I want him here for the remainder of the rebuild for sure. But he needs a little bit of convincing, so we'll go 4 years, $114 million. We handled our business. And at the end of year 1, I mean, how the sausage is made. The sausage tastes like shit because we went 6-11. But the ingredients we put in the sausage look pretty damn good. Almost a top 10 defense, top 10 rushing defense, offensively almost top 5. Great balance between passing and rushing. I'm actually surprised we're only 6 wins. You usually see ranks like that. That's a surprising 9-10 win season. Take a look at the actual stats here. Big picture, do we have anybody? Doesn't look like it, which kind of is a little bit of a bummer. Let's see, Bryce Young, top 10 quarterback. We'll take that after a rough rookie season. 7th in yards, top 10 in touchdowns. Maybe a little high on the interceptions. Those interceptions could prevent him from going up depth. I mean, I don't even know if he would have earned that depth trade if that was 31-10, for an example. But definitely, you know, don't want those interceptions being that high going forward. Running the ball, Chuba Hubbard. Hey, that is what I was kind of hoping. What little I know about the Seattle Seahawks sim playbook is the running back tends to do better than expected. And that's what we got here. 1,500 yards, 13 touchdowns for Chuba Hubbard. He's on a normal dev. That should be good to give him a free dev trait. Kind of surprised with a season like that, though, on a normal dev. He did not trigger a dev trait scenario in season. That's a little bit of a bummer. We got 2,000-yard receivers, which is, again, best case scenario, getting a Seattle Seahawks playbook, even if we're using the Tampa Bay Buccaneers playbook. You know, be it DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, be it Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, you definitely want 2,000-yard receivers to be a possibility with this Dave Canales offense. And that's what we got here year 1. Jonathan Mingo, 81 catches. He's in the slot, 1,100 yards, 6 touchdowns. Michael Pittman, we paid to come be our big-time wide receiver 1, 87 catches, 1,100 yards, 11 touchdowns. Johnny Wilson, the converted rookie tight end, formerly a wide receiver, 63 catches, almost 800 yards, and 8 touchdowns. That could be a dev trait. Hell, he might be Offensive Rookie of the Year. At that point, those are big-time numbers. Leggett was solid as a role player as well. Maybe want to get Chuba Hubbard a little bit more involved in the passing game, if I had to find a nitpick there. Defensively, Shaq Thompson, tackle machine. We got decent sack numbers for a 3-4 defense. 12 TFLs, 11.5 sacks for Derek Brown, 19 TFLs, 10.5 sacks for Brian Burns, 18 and 7 for Christian Wilkins. Trice with 8 and 5.5, which is somewhat reasonable considering when we go to like a the sub defense, which plays a lot of snaps. It's Wilkins, Brown, and Burns, so they're getting the most of the reps. So more as a rotational guy, decent numbers from Braylon Trice. Interception numbers, not non-existent. We had that 5 interception game, but we didn't really have a dog go off and get 5, 6, 7 picks, put themselves into conversation, maybe a dev trait or DB of the year, but still decent interception numbers as well. Yearly awards MVP goes to Dak Prescott. And then the NFC, what do we got? We have any Panthers? Chuba Hubbard makes the top 10 for Offensive Player of the Year. Aaron Donald there. We have Brian Burns, top 5 in Defensive Player of the Year. Offensive Rookie there goes to Jonathan Brooks, the running back out of Texas. Johnny Wilson coming in at number 3. Xavier Legette making the top 10. Defensive Rookie of the Year went to Chris Braswell, who actually we had an opportunity to draft him. Pivoted a little bit. But shout out to Braylon Trice making the top 10. Maybe that's more of a sympathy vote than not, but is what it is. Top 10 voting there for Bryce Young. Chuba Hubbard, number 3. Love to see that. I bet you CMC's happy for his former teammate there. And we're getting that Kenneth Walker bump, which is good. For wide receiver, Michael Pittman making the top 10. For best lineman, I would love to see Brad Christmason up there, but unfortunately we did not get that role. Derek Brown, top 5 for defensive lineman. Christian Wilkins making top 10 for defensive lineman. Brian Burns wins linebacker of the year. That could be an X factor when we carry on. Dante Jackson making the top, good year. It's a good year. This is probably as good as a year you could have with only being 6 wins. So shout out to the Minnesota Vikings getting over the hump, winning their first Super Bowl, something we hope to achieve at some point. Also shout out to the Dolphins for actually getting a playoff win. We had Andy Dalton retiring, which gives us, let's be honest, we're not going to be able to be aggressive in the open market. That's what we did year 0. But we can reflect, and we got some nice dev traits here. No one lost a dev trait. Chuba Hubbard goes from normal up to a star. Johnny Wilson, the rookie, was a normal, what was he, a 70 normal dev, converted wide receiver, now a 75 star dev at the end of his rookie season. We got something there at the tight end position. Defensively for dev traits, Brian Burns up to an X factor. I'm hoping that at minimum, the one thing I gained from this rebuild is if we can get consistent sacks like that, maybe we have ourselves a 3-4 playbook that for any other team that we rebuild as a 3-4, maybe we switch to a Carolina Panthers. If we can get these consistent 2-3 guys flirting with double-digit sacks in a 3-4, that could be huge. No one else, though, went up dev trait. No one lost a dev trait. And I'm going to be honest, I don't think anyone got robbed out of a dev trait. Maybe Shaq Thompson, but he's up there in age, so it's tough for him to get a dev. But, I mean, Brown, Wilkins, Horn, Jackson, Curl, Chan, they all had good seasons, not great seasons to more fun. But, hey, I'll take Brian Burns, a brand new X factor on the defensive side of the ball. And for the love of God, please, just be consistent. I'm not saying you have to get 12, 13 sacks every year. But don't just immediately plummet down to 6. If he's like between 8 and 11 averaged out, that'll be enough to maintain this dev trait and not lose it. That's the number one thing I want to see. You know what? Brad Christmason at 28, 75, 2 years gives us a little insurance so we don't have to go. And actually, he's sick and tired of me butchering his name. All right. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I will say there's a current defensive back on the Kansas City Chiefs that I really want to try to trade for. But for the second straight offseason, their salary cap is insane. He'll be mine before the end of this 5 years. Okay? Promise. All right, so going into this draft, we actually have a decent pick for how well our squad performed. With top 10 selection, however, and there's 2 players I want to target. It's about time for my personal draft class that I've worked on in 2025. There's 2 big dogs. One, I'm not going to be able to pick. It's going to have to wait. It would have been perfect for this rebuild, given our needs. But it is going to have to be a minute until we can have the official Travis Hunter rebuild. But after Travis Hunter, I think the next most exciting pick is going to be available to us here at pick 9, as long as the mock draft wasn't lying to me. Ruben Bain gone. You got Will Campbell, left tackle, franchise tackle. Harold Perkins. It's kind of like your Micah Parsons type. Inside, outside. It's just a defensive linebacker. Can play edge, can rush the passer, can drop back into coverage. Calvin Banks, the linemen are going. The Lions at pick 7 go Mykel Williams. At pick 8, the Patriots do not select the guy that I think we need to go out and get. We know we can facilitate 2,000-yard receivers. Why not get a guy that might have the highest ceiling of anyone that would be in our room? Why not be able to put and keep, Mingo in the slot? And then you get Burden, who obviously probably should be playing the slot as well. But I think he's going to be the other big dog in this draft class. In terms of big name, exciting players, it's not always the guys, you know, the trenches, the linemen, the tackles. The big name, exciting players for 2025 right now on paper. 1 is Travis Hunter, and 2 is Luther Burden. And we have the opportunity to get Luther Burden to give just sell out and go all in on this offense. I think that's what we need to do. We did a great job, and we saw immediate return on investment in Johnny Wilson at tight end. We saw immediate return on investment bringing in Michael Pittman in free agency. Now we need to continue to see that, an immediate return on investment. 1,000 yards incoming, Luther Burden. Third round, we do need some interior help, so I'm going to look at the undersized but very dominant Parker Brailsford, who I believe transferred. I don't know, did he transfer to Bama? But really nice center, no dev trait. But undersized gives you that Jason Kelsey vibes just a little bit. Take a look at the draft recap. Pretty happy with the draft class, honestly. First 3 picks, all in the 70s. We got some depth here at edge rusher. Got a guy named Demonic Williams, who's a nose tackle. We got Salter from Liberty. I think he just entered the transfer portal, but he would have big-time numbers at Liberty. Got some depth on the offensive line. But look, Colby Taylor, height, weight, speed, machine. I think another guy, I got to update my draft class almost just strictly based off of the colleges, because any small school player that plays well now enters the transfer portal. I believe he did as well. I don't know where he transferred, but 6'3", made Bruce Feldman's freak list. 6'3", 94 speed, 94 acceleration, 94 jumping across the board. That's great depth to have. Parker Brailsford, 71. Thought they're actually, I made this class. I thought I might have given him a hidden dev. He was first team Pac-12 as a freshman, but I guess not. Upside though, only 20, younger player. But the big dog, man, the big addition in this draft class, Luther Burden III, 78, hidden dev out of Mizzou, just completely well-rounded playmaker. He's honestly the comp right now, and this is no slight at Deebo Samuel, even though Eagle fans, and I'm an Eagle fan, Deebo, we do have a signed Deebo helmet, and before the Eagle-Deebo rivalry, I really did like Deebo Samuel. He won me a fantasy football league. I love the way he plays. I remember during the Senior Bowl, I was like, that guy's a dog. I remember I watched some USC games, the other SC. I was like, man, this guy's a dog. Luther Burden is like if Deebo Samuel was a better wide receiver, stylistically. Because let's be honest, Deebo Samuel, not the most prolific wide receiver. He's more of a weapon, which is a compliment, if you can believe it. Don't tell Niner fans. They are the easiest fan base to upset. It's a compliment, please. It's a compliment. But Luther Burden is stylistically like Deebo Samuel, but I think he's a little bit more of a receiver than he is a guy that you want to like consistently line up like as a running back and a gadget player. 92 speed, 92 acceleration, 82 catching, 85 catches traffic, 87 spec. His route running solid, 93 agility, 91 jumping, 91 change of direction. Big time playmaker here. Let's go. Happy with this draft. And early into year 2, off to an undefeated start. 42-7 shit pumping over a rival there in the Saints, in which a Canadian continues to rise. Chuba Hubbard, 154 yards, 3 touchdowns, offense play. Would have loved that to roll into a dev trade to try to get him up to a superstar, but if he keeps playing like this, he'll get a superstar at season's end anyway. But of our bye week, we'll use this as the midway point because we are undefeated right now. Playing very, very well. Any starters here with upgrades? Ooh, Brian Burns, our X Factor. Number 0. Agent 0. I don't know, does he have a nickname? Probably has a nickname, but hats off to him. He's been badass. Let's take a look at contracts. And I'll be honest, that's my word. Because we were so aggressive in our very first free agency period, we are obviously operating on Bryce Young's rookie contract till the final year. But I have been a little worried about just our budget here a little bit. We're going to pick up the 5th-year option of Bryce Young. And we have plenty of money. That's great news. Taylor Moton, you're supposed to say, run your lineman into the ground, 2-year deal. He wasn't even overly interested. Surprised he took it. Dante Jackson. Honestly, we probably need to get younger, but a 1-year deal with how much salary cap we have, veteran presence, at worst, he bumps down to corner 3 if we can get an upgrade this offseason. And then we got the Horn Dog, J.C. Horn. We'll try and be a little cheap. If he wants more, we can pay him more. He wants to be here. He wants to buy into the project. That's all you can ask for. And with that, we're going to roll into free agency probably with excess of $50 million to try to get this team better. But we do need to be conscientious a little bit because we're not going to be able to get this whole rebuild on a Bryce Young rookie contract. We have to pay him eventually. So we got to be just a little bit conscientious of that. For the midway point of year 2, 6-2, sitting atop the NFC South. That is pretty decent. Number 1 offense, number 1 passing offense, number 6 rushing offense. Defense not as hot as it was a year ago. We are up in sacks and takeaways, which I guess if you're going to have not a great defense, at least be able to have like a box score defense where we got a lot of sacks, a lot of picks. So that is at least good on our 6-2 start. take a look at our contract with $40 million remaining. This looks like it's going to be a pretty decent free agency spot. We're going to pick up the fifth-year option for Bryce Young, and there's really no one else that really needs to get paid. With all due respect to Calvin Austin, it's kind of just a role player that we can let walk. And somehow, someway, usually you get a quarterback breakout scenario off of like a 4-touchdown performance or multiple 3-4 player of the week type performances. Modest win week 13 over the Saints, but we do have a quarterback breakout scenario for Bryce Young. So we're going to make the jump up to a superstar, which is really the whole reason why Dave Canales, I think, got the job here in Carolina, is can you take Bryce Young and can you make him a Goldie boy? Can you get him off this silver boy? And the 10-2 Carolina Panthers. We're one of the best squads. There's a chance. 38-17 over Detroit. I don't think that's the best opening question. Damn. All right, at the end of year 2, I'm a little worried that this will be our best season. It's going to be very, very difficult to top it as we go 15-2. And our defense, our offense, ridiculous. Our defense was not great, and then they locked it. I don't think we gave up more than 14 points for the second half of the season. They are playing out of their goddamn mind. And we get a first-round bye. And Bryce Young, stud. And Chuba Hubbard. Look at that. Where did that come from? 16-19. Insane. Absolutely insane. The Horn Dog, 9 picks. This is the kind of role you can only hope for happens year 5 when you're trying to go gear up for that Super Bowl. 4,400 yards, 38 touchdowns, 6 picks for Bryce Young. We got 1,600 yards, 19 touchdowns out of nowhere for Chuba Hubbard. I did not think that this was going to be possible. I thought maybe there was a shot. He's at that awkward, 26, 27. Look at the jump from year 1 to year 2. Touchdowns up. Yards up. All on top of the fact that our passing offense was up. Maybe it was the addition of Luther Burden. 76 catches, 1,200 yards, 12 touchdowns. For what I can only assume, unless there's a baller quarterback, will be Offensive Rookie of the Year. And I hope it is, because he is a superstar dev playmaker. And if he gets that dev trait, he is going to become the X factor that we so desperately need and would so desperately justify spending the top 5-ish, or number 6 spot, drafting him. 1,100 yards, 11 touchdowns for Michael Pittman. Mingo was solid. Johnny Wilson was respectable. But the fact that we made this switch and we got this offense that has the ceiling for a running back to go off and have 2,000-yard receivers, I'm a fan. I'm a big fan. On the defensive side, Shaq Thompson was a tackle machine. The sacks, ballpark of kind of for a 3. Now, understanding that you can't grade this against a normal sim defense. You have to grade it against 3-4 sim defense. And last year was ridiculous. This year, still pretty good. 10 sacks for Wilkins, 9 from Brian Burns, 8 from Derek Brown, 4.5 from Braylon Trice. We got 9 picks for the Horn Dog. That might be the most interceptions I've seen in a sim season so far here in Madden 24. I don't think I've ever seen double digits. And, of course, it's the Horn Dog. While there's a shot just because, obviously, the Panther series last year. But there's a shot like J.C. Horn's making my all-time Madden corner room. All-time. Like, right up there with Sean Merriman at defensive end. Right up there with Julius Peppers and Sean Merriman are my 2 defensive ends. D-tackle 1 is Fletcher Cox. D-tackle 2, I might just go B.J. Ojolari from the Cardinals franchise. Just kick him on the inside because he's so goddamn good. But I think for corner, Horn Dog might be up there. Looking at the awards, Bryce Young is top 5 for MVP. Dave Canales wins Coach of the Year. For individual awards, what do we got? Offensive Rookie of the Year does go to Luther Burden, which you love to see. Bryce Young gets Quarterback of the Year. Chuba Hubbard gets Running Back of the Year. Luther Burden, top 3 as a rookie. Respectable. We get Corbett. We get a little bit of lineman shine on that. Brian Burns, top 5 for Linebacker of the Year. J.C. Horn wins DB. I think we're going to add, not only, I would say at minimum, this should be a team looking at this. Should go on with expectations like, yeah, we could finally win that Super Bowl here in Carolina. Win it early. Win it year 2 of the rebuild so that we're not stressing out 3, 4, and 5. More so 4 and 5. But this is going to be a silver lining rebuild that if we go 1 and done here against Atlanta, which will suck ass, or we lose it really at any point, we're still going to get probably gigantic dev trade increases that's going to make this team even better going into year 3. Because that's Bryce Young, Luther Burden, Horn Dog, Chuba Hubbard. At minimum, that could go up dev trade, if not more. And those are all starters. Those are all guys that will definitely benefit from getting that dev trade increase. So, Let's see what we can do. We got the 11-6 Atlanta Falcons, battle of the NFC South. Atlanta has a top 10 offense, top 5 defense. Damn, you might be able to make the argument. I think, no, I'm not going to. You know what? Because at face value, we are way better than the 18th ranked defense. We have number 5 in touchdowns allowed and top 5 in sacks. Number 1 in takeaways, which is probably due to the fact that we got 9 freaking picks from the Horn Dog. I think we can handle Atlanta. I think we can prove that we're the best. And if not, it just adds to the rivalry. And we handle business 28-16 in a match where Brian Burns, Defensive Player of the Week with 2 sacks, Bryce Young, Offensive Player of the Week with 3 touchdowns on 330 total yards. Shout out to the Raiders for doing the same kind of thing. But here in year 2, we are in the NFC Championship game. We are 1 win away from featuring in a Super Bowl. We are going to upgrade here for Bryce Young. As you can see, he has an insane plus 10 morale boost, temporary boost. Some of that is because of our offensive coordinator. Some of that is because he is playing like a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. But that is right up there with, what was that rebuild we did? Josh Dobbs? We had something insane with Josh Dobbs for how his morale. Because he was playing like an MVP candidate as like a 71. Like I feel like we're a plus 13, plus 14, something truly disgusting. This is pretty good for Bryce Young. We will absolutely take that kind of boost. But it is an inflated boost. So, you know, anytime anything's inflated, all it takes is one little needle to deflate that, pop it, and hopefully it is not the LA Rams, who have Aaron Donald, the number 1 defense in the NFL. NFC Championship game in year 2 of 5-year rebuild. So, man, we're in the Super Bowl! Oh, no, not Kansas City. No. Bryce Young, Offensive Player of the Week. Back-to-back. He's playing great. But we got Kansas City. The one role you never want to see when you're an NFC team. This was Baltimore. This was Cincinnati. This was Raiders. If this was Bills, I'd be like, you know what? I think we can stand and bang with them. This is not... Okay, well, let's see. We got our dev traits, right? We're going to have, hopefully, an X Factor here on Bryce Young. No. Superstar, sorry. He's on star. Hopefully, we see a superstar, a Goldie Boy, which we do get the ability slot there. So that is very nice for Mr. Bryce Young, getting the superstar dev for winning quarterback of the year. Well, I mean, multitude of awards there, but quarterback of the year goes to Bryce Young. The Horn Dog with 9 interceptions. He is looking for an increase from star dev up to a superstar dev, and we were able to get that. Congratulations to the Horn Dog, DB of the year, NFL interceptions leader, gets the dev trait. So the only player we're not going to see, at least in this, is Chuba Hubbard. We have Luther Burden. Yeah, you already see the X Factor ability there. Justifies, you know. You could make the argument when we drafted him that, like, is wide receiver truly what you need? You got Michael Pittman. You got Mingo. Mingo was coming off a 1,000-yard season. You had the breakout of Johnny Wilson. I was like, you know what? We gotta get a little style here. That's exactly what we're able to get. We're gonna get rid of first run free. I think he's gonna be a rack 'em up type of guy. Energizer, man, these abilities are butt cheeks. We'll go matchup nightmare. We're gonna go okay. Man, I really do. This is the one thing that I just... That grab and go is definitely something he would slot a max, sure. For as much as I know a lot about franchise mode, it is not tuned into my brain to know, like, every time I get an X Factor ability and superstar abilities, A, B, C, D. This is what I do every single time. This is how I lock in every single time. Maybe that's because I don't play MUT. I feel like abilities maybe are more prevalent in Madden Ultimate Team to at least know what the meta ones are. I kind of just eyeball it. Either way, we are year 2. We are in a Super Bowl. We are going up against the freaking Chiefs, who have the number 1 offense, top 10 defense. It's going to be very, very difficult, but if we can find a way to get this one out, get a Super Bowl early, play with house money, and you beat Kansas City, that's like the ultimate Super Bowl win. That is the ultimate way to prove that you are the best team by beating either Kansas City or if you play Dallas in the Super Bowl. Now, because this is only year 2 of a 5-year rebuild, not going to play. We're just going to sit here front row. Hopefully the sim is going to deem us worthy enough that this team is Super Bowl contender, a Super Bowl qualifier, and good enough to get a gigantic upset over Mahomes and the new Patriots. They're the new Patriots. It's something that I've, obviously, watching the Eagles lose to them made me hate the Chiefs, and we missed the field goal, which is brutal. Makes me hate the Chiefs a little bit more than, like, some other neutrals, per se. But, like, we grew up hating the Patriots. They despised. They won everything. That's why you hated them. I feel like, obviously, they had the cheating allegations and all that stuff. So the dark cloud around their success is, holy shit, this is a very close matchup. That might be the death sentence right there. We settled for a field goal in the red zone. You know they're not going to settle. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Ah! Year 2 Super Bowl. Let's go, Dave Canales. Holy shit. I'm trying to look. Out of all the realistic rebuilds we've done, has this been like the biggest shocking surprise success story? I know we won. I'm pretty sure we won a Super Bowl early with the Philadelphia Eagles, but that's the fucking Philadelphia Eagles. I think it was like Bears, Falcons, Giants, Chargers, Raiders, Titans, Patriots. Those are all the other Super Bowls. Those are all, for the most part, I think maybe one of those was an early Super Bowl win. Everything else was year 4, year 5. I mean, year 4 is early enough, but in year 2, especially with a team like the Panthers, which are one of the lowest rated teams, shittiest teams going, I'm going to say that a big reason why we were able to do this, in terms of something being a little bit different, is we were very aggressive at the first free agency spot. Usually, I don't really touch free agency. I keep hands off. But we were aggressive. We went out and got multiple big-time starters. Christian Wilkins was one. Michael Pittman at wide receiver was another. Like, in terms of, like, throwing around the cash. Cam Curl at safety, he was 80-some plus. And I think that's probably a reason why we saw the success. Great scheme. Great play. We drafted well. We brought in good players for only having one draft pick, one first-round pick, a part of this team that we've been able to bring in Luther Burden. But he's an X-factor wide receiver. That is a game changer. That's a needle mover. 3 touchdowns, toe-to-toe. Bryce Young gets the job done. That's an outstanding. He got himself a Super Bowl MVP. 64 yards and a touchdown for Chuba Hubbard. 104 yards and a touchdown for Michael Pittman. 87 there for Burden. Mingo with 78 and 2 touchdowns. Happy to see that. Defensively, we got 1 sack in Derek Brown. No turnovers, so it wasn't really a defensive showcase, but a year 2 Super Bowl for the Carolina freaking Panthers. Let's make this a dynasty. The failure of success for our squad is our failure to retain our staff, because we won. And obviously you saw that gigantic boost that we had for, well, look at that. We got a couple QB gurus. We have a Seattle offensive playbook. Very easy here. But we do good again. We're going to lose all those boosts to Bryce Young, and that sucks. It's going to be an important spot here for how we handle our salary cap and free agency. We are picking up the 5th-year option for Bryce Young, but that is going to be a very expensive contract that is coming. So I do think we need to be conscious of that, and maybe, especially coming off a Super Bowl season, we're not losing much of our roster. You know, we're going to see that $46 million cap and want to splurge and buy someone big and shiny. But the reality is, it's probably going to be smarter, it's going to be more realistic to plan for probably a $300 million contract that we have coming up next offseason. We need guard, nose tackle, and corner, which for the upcoming remaining draft classes that are going to be Madden generated, those are 3 positions that are pretty easy, all things considered. At least I have a good track record of finding those 3 positions. But I was like, if there was a clear free agent that was at one of those spots, I was like, that is who we need to sign, I would. Travis Jones is interesting, but 26.77, I'm seeing a limited ceiling. We went out and got it. And unfortunately, at guard, there's not much there. Would have been a great year if you needed a tackle with Christian Darrisaw finding a way to hit the open market. But I think it's going to be best for us to sit this free agency out and more so focus on having a big-time draft. Just a very quick preview, because I think I kind of found the path of how I want to handle this draft. We found and scouted a guard a little bit later on in Bradley Samuels, 3 A's and a B. Now, offensive linemen can lie to you with their letter grades, right? But still looks pretty good. Like, maybe the bench press could be a little higher. But I'm cautiously optimistic that you see like grades like that, that guy's going to be great. So there will be our guy that we get in the 2nd round. Unfortunately, there's not a nose tackle. I would have loved to just have the easy pick of a guy that's 360 pounds and just be like, all right, at worst, he's going to be in the 70s. Might even roll a dev trade. Casey Polk at 320. There was also Dylan Shields at 310. I guess that's like, I'd say 310 plus is the minimum you'd want for a nose tackle. Couple guys there, but I mean, there was nothing that was really worth scouting. So I focused on corners this year, and look at what we got here. We got 2 guys here. JoJo Richmond, 6'4", top 5 talent. Orlando Wright, 6'3". I don't know if they're still going to be there. I hope they are. JoJo, Richmond, Orlando, right? You can usually look at the mock drafts, usually, and I say that after I've been getting fucking burned by trying to go off of this goddamn mock draft to get an idea of who's going to be available when we pick. Richmond's going at 22, which sucks. But if he's gone, we still have a chance at a first rounder. I think the only thing for Richmond is how good athletically is he. Is he like a 4-3 guy? He is a 4-3 guy. You know, it's always the dirtiest feeling trying to win a Super Bowl. After you win a Super Bowl, that draft, you try to, like, not necessarily cheese it because, you know, we got trading, the strictest of trading up. So if we do trade up, it's going to be a fair deal. But it always just, you know, you take your 32nd pick after winning the Super Bowl, right? So I think we're going to do that. And hopefully that other corner that's a first rounder is still on the board. And if he's not off the board, I'm going to be pretty pissed off. But I think he'll still be there. Yeah, he is. Whoa, Richmond's still there. Let's go. You can't trust the mock drafts. Don't be normal, Dev, you fucker. Oh, you fucker. Literally the last rebuild we did, which was the Titans. It was the same shit. We talked about this guy's the guy we wanted to trade up for. Player looked the exact same. Top 5. Height, weight, speed. And he was a normal Dev. Watch the other dude that we wanted be superstar, something like that. Fuck. Oh, my God. That's what I was going to say. If the inverse happened. If he went when he was projected to go, I was going to be like, man, what if he's normal Dev? Like when we did the Titans rebuild and that top corner, the guy, the baller, was a normal Dev. And here we are with the fucking pie on our face. Is that a saying? Is that a phrase? We're going to take this over. We're going to go grab our guard here, Bradley Samuels. Hopefully he has a Dev trait. All right, salvage it. Great. And he's a hell of an athlete. All the good news about the normal Dev play, he's probably going to be, what, high 70s. So there's a win. Play him into Defensive Rookie of the Year conversation. Get the Dev trait. In our chase of a nose tackle, this is really the biggest, heaviest, strongest player left in the draft. Dexter Lynch. Sure, maybe. I'm going to guess probably 67, 68. Hell yeah. Elite kick power for the win. Final pick, Mr. Irrelevant. Screw you, Brock Purdy. Jimmy Abbott's going to become the new GOAT. All right, so take a look at our draft recap. Big expectation, especially whiffing on a Dev trade here for our first pick. And it's 77. I was hoping maybe 78, maybe 79, but I guess we're just splitting hairs at this point. Looks good. Stats look great. Just wish it was better Dev trade at a Temple. Temple tough. Bradley Samuels, 76 hidden Dev. Dexter Lynch is a 70. I was thinking he was high 60. That's a little bit better than I was expecting. Abbott, 69. Hidden Dev kicker, which is pretty cool. But the reality is we got to go see what this other corner was. He would have went second round, early second round. It wasn't Orlando Wright, I don't think. Maybe it was. 6'3", Hidden Dev. That might have been the guy. Was that the guy? I feel like I would have remembered his name a little bit more. It wasn't Jalen Page. It must have been. So what's the Dev there? If it's just a star Dev, that's the one you can live with. If you get a normal Dev guy and the guy that you're picking with is star Dev, you're not going to be too disappointed, too depressed. If it's superstar, if it's anything crazy, like that's only a star, I feel like we can make up that ground sooner than later. So year 3 as defending Super Bowl champions, here's how the Carolina Panthers line up. We got superstar Bryce Young, superstar Chuba Hubbard, superstar Michael Pittman, X-Factor Luther Burden, Johnny Wilson, Moton, Corbett, Brailsford, Samuels, our second round pick, is going to start at left guard. And we got Ike Ekwonu, who has managed to hold on to that superstar Dev trait. On the defensive side of the ball, Wilkins. We got the rookie Lynch. Still, you know, probably need to find maybe more upsidey nose tackle, maybe more upsidey players in the secondary. We're hoping Richmond can play well and maybe get into considerations. If we can get some of those 9 picks to split more evenly amongst our 2 outside starting corners, might be able to put him in a spot to get Defensive Rookie of the Year, which gets him up to a star Dev. But we got the Horn Dog with 9 picks. I think he's going to be able to lead this secondary along with Chin and Curl at safety. We have Trice, Luvu Thompson, and the X-Factor, Brian Burns. On the defensive side, I think this team, at minimum, is good enough to win the division, get another divisional title, and go on a playoff run. I'm not going to say we're good enough to just walk right back to a Super Bowl and win a second straight Super Bowl. Need a little bit of luck, but the way that this team played last year, fuck, I don't know who's stopping us. Oh yeah, midway point, year number 3, 8-3. Now the Bucks being 10-1, it's a little annoying because that might prevent us from winning the divisional title. But we are on a little bit of a win streak here. We got a breakout scenario for Bryce Young to make the organic X Factor dev trade in season. Very difficult to do, but I've seen him make Offensive Player of the Week enough times that this is somewhat attainable against the New Orleans Saints. Home game against the Saints. What perfect time to stunt on your rivals. But I will say I will not engage with this scenario if we clearly didn't get it, which we did not. But actually, you know what? We'll keep rolling this one here because we got a breakout defensive back against Chicago. And it's JoJo Richmond, the first-round pick with the wet fart of a dev trade. Hull, the Chicago Bears lost 200 yards passing. They are not a heavy passing team. Or get him production, which that's the more, you know, I'd always rather my guy get it because he has a couple picks or something like that. But look at that. We handle business. Please give him the dev trade. Please. Let's go. JoJo Richmond takes a little bit of faith. That's why I didn't completely shit all over that pick. I was bummed out because I've seen that before. Top 5 true talent, normal dev. Shouldn't happen. That's the ultimate pull the wool over from your eyes kind of deal where it's like, clearly this guy should be the best, one of the best players in the draft, and when they have no dev trade. Pretty hard to be one of the best players, but there we go. Organically, it took 14 weeks. He is up dev trade, and hell, I don't know where he's at statistically, but if we can get that defensive rookie of the year, ooh, baby. We could be looking at that double dev. All right, so salary cap. We got to get Ike Ekwonu. We are gambling there's going to be a lot of salary cap going forward because, again, we are going to have to pay next season. We got some decisions to make. I think Dante Jackson, I think Shaq Thompson, this is their final year. I think we look at their final stats. I think Oscar Corbett, this is his final year. I think Jeremy Chin and Mingo. Mingo's a wide receiver 3. We can't pay our wide receiver 3. I think if we have to pay anybody, it's Jeremy Chin. And even then, man, that is so fucking tight of a budget. I think we got to let all these guys walk. Because I think even if we sign 1 or 2 of these guys, it's going to make next year signing Bryce Young so difficult. I think we got to let these guys walk and have a hell of a draft. We're going to need to replace a middle linebacker. We're going to need to replace a slot corner. We're going to need to replace a starting guard, starting safety. We could probably, you know, I'd like to expect and like to think that maybe Johnny Wilson at tight end can emerge as that third receiving option and take over for Mingo, but we got to think about Bryce Young, and this is the challenge. I mean, I would love to just get Jeremy Chin and not worry about it, but I think that's a lot of money. That's a big cap hit. 10 million, 11 million, 12 million. Can't do it. Hell yeah, we go 13-4. We go on a hell of a streak. We catch up to the Bucks. There's levels to this. Suck it. And we get another divisional title. We finish the number 3 offense, number 1 defense. But right now, before I forget, just because we're going to be ushering out an era of player on this squad, Mingo, 3,000 yards, 15 touchdowns in 4 years. Respectable. Defensively, Shaq Thompson, over 1,000 tackles, 73 TFLs, 15 sacks, 6 picks. All-timer, an all-timer. And obviously, maybe not Luke Kuechly. But I think he's probably, you know, closing in on Thomas Davis category for the all-time linebackers, or that other guy that they had that they retired. He used to play for the Saints. Can't remember his name. But he was there. He was a baller. Dante Jackson is going to leave his final year. 500 tackles, 22 TFLs, 19 picks. And it is the final year for Jeremy Chin, who's just under 500 total tackles, 15 TFLs, 5 sacks, 3 interceptions. Take a look at our stats this year. Pretty good. First round bye, 33 touchdowns, 3 picks for Bryce Young. 14-10 there for Chuba Hubbard. Luther Burden, phenomenal. 106 catches, 1,500 yards, 14 touchdowns. We didn't get 2,000-yard receivers, but I will take, if we're not getting 2,000 yards, give me 2 double digits. And that's exactly what we got here. 800 yards, 10 touchdowns there for Michael Pittman, 6-2 for Mingo, 6-4 for Johnny Wilson. On the defensive side, Shaq Thompson, final year here in Carolina, over 100 tackles. We got 14 sacks, Brian Burns, 9.5 for Derek Brown, 7.5 for Braylon Trice, 6.5 for Christian Wilkins. Interceptions, though, unfortunately. J.C. Horn, 9 picks a year ago, only 2 this season. And our rookie first-round pick corner did not get a single interception. Brutal. That's brutal. I mean, at least we got that dev trade in season. Oh. Bryce Young, top 5 in the NBA. Baker Mayfield wins it. What? The hell is going on? Bryce Young wins quarterback of the year. I mean, that could be good for him getting X Factor. He's on that superstar right now. Brian Burns wins linebacker. That should be good enough to help maintain that X Factor that he has. Definitely, a little bit of a weirder year, down year, even though our offense is still elite. Passing numbers are down a little bit. We do have $50 million of available salary cap. That's what it says. So maybe with that, honestly, I would like to keep Jeremy Chin here. All right, we got a sub. This is terrifying. We are the defending Super Bowl champions. We are two-time, back-to-back NFC South champions. And on our first round, we're playing a team that's below 500 with the 29th, with one of the, literally, the third worst offense in the NFL. On defense, that's not much better. Surely, the defending reigning Super Bowl champion is not going to lose. Thank you. If this was last year's Madden, we probably lose. And then we get feel it's not that much better in Dallas. Weekly award in this one, it is Braylon Trice. Our first highest draft pick. 2 sacks and a forced fumble. But we're going up against Dallas. It's Dallas, right? They're as cheesy as it comes. And we beat Dallas. We beat Dallas and we beat Kansas City in back-to-back playoff runs. That is terrifying. That is an all-time run, and we are back. I'm not even hyped right now. We are back in the Super Bowl. 2 straight Super Bowls. Year 2 Super Bowl win. Year 3 Super Bowl. What stands between us is Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson. The 14th ranked offense in Indianapolis. 13th ranked defense. That is just an average team. That means I'm not negative. That's not an outright these guys fucking suck. We did not get the depth trait for Bryce Young, but he does have a insane +9. Why did we not get it? QB of the year? Ah, wow. It's a little stingy. But with an opportunity to get 2 straight Super Bowls, a quarterback that knows a lot about winning in Bryce Young from his time and success at Alabama. Can we get back-to-back Super Bowl titles? We're going to try our goddamn best. I will say, as we just fire this one out, we have yet to win 2 Super Bowls in a rebuild. This could be history. A multi-Super Bowl rebuild. Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, same class, both studs, big fan, both out of SEC. Who is going to get it done? And I feel like in a match like this, Anthony Richardson, just make them play, blitz him. Pretty much blitz the ever-living shit out of him. Low-scoring first half. First touchdown goes to Carolina. Come on, we've been here. This is a squad that hasn't been here before. Anthony Richardson, as much as I love him from what he did in Florida, never won a big game. Never really had an opportunity to play in a big game. We have a big game quarterback. We are down 7. Look at the clutchness. Oh, let's go. What was that? A pick 6. A fumble recovery. Something happened. We get the touchdown. Down 17-10 to make it 17-17. Colts get the ball. And something fucking happened. A defensive touchdown. I would love to say right now, horn dog pick 6. I would love to see JoJo Richmond, the rookie, first-round pick 6. It's probably going to be something like a wet fart, like a third-string middle linebacker fumble recovery for a touchdown. But that is back-to-back. 2 check marks going in the old tracker sheet here. Back-to-back Super Bowls for the first time in our Madden 24 Realistic Rebuild series. We still got 2 more years left. It might be tougher next year, given the amount of free agents we're probably not going to be able to re-sign. But it is worth it for 2 straight Super Bowls. Let's go. I got to see who got that touchdown. How did that last thing break down? Dante Jackson. It is final. Look at that. Insane. 92-yard Jonathan Taylor. We get a 5-yard touchdown to Luther Burden to tie it up. And a pick 6. Under a minute to go. 2 touchdowns. 14 points. It's clutch. That is clutch. Mingo get a touchdown. He's gone. Look at the guys that are going to be gone. Dante Jackson, probably not going to be here next year. Jonathan Mingo, probably not going to be here next year. But in their final showcase for the Carolina Panthers, they balled out. And I think, honestly, looking at these numbers, MVP, Dante Jackson. We did get a little more salary cap than I was, I don't know, maybe expecting. And I'm going to say with this, I think we go Jeremy Chin. That's way less than what it was. That's almost half what he was looking for in season. I get he went up in age a little bit. But we'll get Jeremy Chin. I think because he's the 1,000 tackles, if he wants to come back, this contract's going to be off the books when it comes time to pay Bryce Young. So we're going to get Shaq Thompson sitting on 1,000 to come back. I almost feel like, again, we're not going to be spending big in free agency. You just got Super Bowl MVP. Dante Jackson, let's run it back for one more year. So that means we're going to go into this offseason needing a new starting guard, draft, right? I'm going to focus on the draft. A wide receiver 3, draft. Just to be a glutton for punishment, because we can't spend any money, just see what the free agency class looks like, and ultimately this looks like a great one to be sitting at lots of guys that are 33, lots of punters and kickers that I'm seeing within the top 10. We're good. Thanks anyways. All right, I botched it. I'm not gonna lie, my old man came over trying to fix the car. Shout out Hyundai's. After 100,000 miles, this car has been a piece of shit. So I literally had like a 2.5 hour recording of the draft with no audio. It just bought. I'll show you the draft recap. I got a really good nose tackle, which is a win. Everything else that happened for the rest of the draft, that's probably why it's not even loading right now, because it is bugged. Look, yes, something happened. Just give me a sec. All right, so the good news, the bad news, actually, is that the Madden servers just went down, and of course, online franchise mode. So that crashed during the draft, on top of other issues, but pretty good haul, all things considered. We got ourselves a 76 hidden dev nose tackle at a big position to need, Antonio Biggers. 98 strength, everything else across the board pretty good. We got ourselves a speedy wide receiver, Ben McDaniels at a Texas, normal dev, 6'2", 226, add some solid depth. Rest of it, though, not the, not an S-tier draft class, but in terms of positions of need, I think we did an okay job. Got a hole still on the offensive line, but I'll take a day one starter here as a two-time defending Super Bowl champion going into year 4. So here's a look at our squad as a two-time defending Super Bowl champion team. This year we are going to have to pay Bryce Young, so things could get a little tight budget-wise, but as far as the squad is concerned, we got the superstars in the skill position spots. Luther Burden, 95 X Factor, has been an absolute stud. Maybe the interior of the offensive line, not as good as it could be, but, we have been conscientious of our salary cap. On the defense side, add Biggers in it to that front 3. Gotta be a little careful when we say that name. Shaq Thompson, again, let's see how many more tackles he can get. I don't know what the record is. I'll look at that before, because obviously at the end of this year is probably going to be his last year. We'll see if he is the all-time tackle leader. See if we breaking some records here on the defensive side, but just at the linebacker in particular, because there's been some great Carolina Panther linebackers. And I'm going to say he might pass Luke Kuechly, just maybe a longevity. So I think we still have the X Factor in Brian Burns, Derek Brown up to a superstar. We did lose the superstar in J.C. Horn after the down year, coming off 9 picks. Got a superstar last year. What was it, 2 picks? So I can't complain too much about that. But I still think overall, secondary is a strength. Defense is a strength. It might not be a super team, but this team is damn good and damn deserving of being a two-time defending Super Bowl champion. Let's see if we can make it 3. Midway point, we are actually not first place in the South. Starting to wonder maybe there's going to be slight fatigue, slight success fatigue, because I know I just had a hat change. A lot of stuff going on today behind the scenes. Had a car broken down, Madden servers went down, and we're trying to get this in Friday because it's a sponsored video. We're good. We're good. We're fine. We're going to be blessed. The servers are going to stay up. I think it was like an ultimate team server. We're 4-3. We're going to clang and bang. We're going to close this one out. We do have some contracts, and this is, I love seeing that 130 mil of available salary cap. But, in fact, Bryce Young has 0 interest in staying. We have to overpay $337 million to Bryce Young. We have Michael Pittman, who's been good. Is he $110 million good? Probably not. If he declined that offer, I would have politely just kept rolling with, we'd move on. But look, we're getting everyone to sign it. We're getting everyone to buy in. Johnny Wilson, a success story for this squad after switching positions. Caleb Carson's been he's been a starter for us for a little bit. Finally, a reasonable contract. We'll get him locked in. We got Luvu, who's been solid. He doesn't want to fully commit, huh? Everyone else is buying in except you. That is way too much money for Christian Wilkins. That's way too, $17 million for a 31-year-old. He's been solid, but I feel like, if I get a good D tackle in the first round, we could probably bring you back. Damn. We got some decisions to make, because Taylor Moton on a 1-year. Turnstile Moton. He takes that? All right. Maybe he retires, maybe not, but Luvu, gone. Wilkins, going to be gone. Likely Shaq Thompson retires, hopefully. And then we'll just pick up the 5th-year option for Luther Burden. We finished the year 10-7. I mean, I've seen 10-7 not make the playoffs, considering the fact that one win separated us from second place in making the playoffs to last place in the division. I think that speaks more so to the competitiveness of the NFC South, but the reality is we could have been a 2-time defending Super Bowl champion in a row and not even made the playoffs. Thin margins. Offensively, I mean, not as hot. Defensively, not. I like the sacks being up there, especially for a 3-4. But the fact that Bryce Young has been playing like a top 5 quarterback, and this year, not the case. 3,600 yards, 31 touchdowns. Not a bad year. Also not a great year. Chuba Hubbard's touchdowns are down. Yardage is about the same. Luther Burden continues to dominate, but Michael Pittman, especially giving him over $10 million a year, need more than that. You are getting paid to be our second 1,000-yard receiver, and the fact that you almost got gapped by our 3rd slot guy, back, tight end. Starting to have maybe buyer's remorse. I mean, I don't want to say starting to have buyer's remorse on Michael Pittman after giving him money this year, because he's had just as many 1,000-yard seasons as he hasn't since he's been here in Carolina. But a little worried. Louisville has his big year as soon as we can't afford to bring him back. I love the sacks, though. Derek Brown with 12, 11.5 for Brian Burns, 6.5 for Wilkins, 3.5 Thompson, 3 from, where is Trice? What the? I mean, he's got to need to step up a little bit. Let's see what Bigger's dev trade is. It is star. I'm always going to enunciate that one to play it safe. I mean, not bad for a nose tackle. 3 picks, J.C. Horn, the Horn Dog. Probably not good enough to get him back up to superstar, but not a bad year. Looks like the Patriots found their Tom Brady replacement. And then just quickly looking in the NFC, seeing if there is any Carolina Panthers. I don't think we're going to have any, and unfortunately, we do not. It's just a weird year, but again, luckily, we already have 2 Super Bowls banked, so it's not the end of the world if we can't go on a run. We started off a very tough match against Philadelphia. We have a borderline top 5 offense in the NFL, but we're 91 overall across the board. In terms of talent, there is not going to be a better team than us in the NFC. I don't think so. In the division round, we have the 13-4 Rams, good record, but they're only at 84 overall, so we do gap them a little bit, but just this team didn't feel special. They lost that little bit of magic. Maybe a little bit of fatigue. Chuba Hubbard gets player of the week with outstanding performance. 60 yards on the ground, 88 through the air, and a receiving touchdown. But after 2 straight Super Bowl seasons, we fall 2 wins short here in year 4. All right, so I'm just looking at this right now because this is going to be the last year of Shaq Thompson. So I was like, who is the leading tackler? And my guess, I was like, all right, it's going to be either Luke Kuechly, Thomas Davis, maybe Beeson. John Beeson was there for a minute. And I'll tell you right now, all time, Thomas Davis, it's 1,100 tackles. 1,100 tackles is a lead. We started this rebuild, if this thing's up to date, with 700 on Shaq Thompson. So 1,100 is the mark. And by 47, literally 48 total tackles, Shaq Thompson is now the all-time leading tackler for the Carolina Panthers, so shout out to him. The Chiefs went on to win the Super Bowl, surprise, surprise, and Shaq Thompson didn't retire, but I think we're just at that spot. We celebrate him for what he is. He's not the same player. We need to make changes. We did get a little extra wiggle room. We have $19 million of available cap. So if that's the case, and no one's retiring, that is interesting. Yeah, but he's down to a 68. That's still a lot. $3 million, almost $2.5 million at that point. I think we'll get Luvu so we don't have to replace both. But still, we go into this. We need a wide receiver. We're going to need a new defensive lineman, and we're going to need another middle linebacker. Knowing that's what we need, I do want to see the open market first. We got $10 million. I will restructure if there's like, that's the guy we need, right? So wait, let's just double check here real quick. See the available players. Not going to be able to, even with some of the restructures though, I think our roster is, I don't think there's a whole lot of wiggle room. I don't think there's a whole lot of contract restructures that we could throw around. But we need wide receiver 3. We need a right guard. We need a defensive end and a middle linebacker. Not much a wide receiver. I mean, there's some solid guys, but I mean, for a wide receiver 3, not really worth like a gigantic restructure. Looking at the interior of the offensive line, Again, I feel like I could probably just draft one. BB's not bad, but he had no interest. It had to be like, and there's no one else. Maybe we'll try to get the guard there. We need a 3-4 defensive end. Montez Sweat. We got Wilkins still available. Still looking for an absurd 17 mil. That's what it costs. 17. I'd rather, like, what do we got a D tackle here? 14, 12. Doesn't look a lot better. Holy shit. These guys are expensive. What do we got for middle linebacker? Off-ball linebacker. We got Devin White, Leighton Vander Esch, Junior Colson, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Again, these are. I think we go with the guard. We'll see if we can get Cooper Beebe. We'll pay him as much as I possibly can. We'll go player friendly. Puts us in first spot for him. And that means we're going to be going into the draft, BPA, be it a wide receiver, 3-4 defensive end, or middle linebacker. And you can usually get 3-4 defensive end, middle linebacker. You can get those guys second, third round. So ideally, stud wide receiver in the first round, guard, middle linebacker. So we've done our scouting, and I found a player that I might need to trade up for. I think literally how I broke it down could work out as long as me trading up doesn't involve picks this year. Because in my head, I scouted 2 linebackers, and I went for the 2 guys that had A-zone coverage. I got Kevin Hall here, middle linebacker out of Boston College. Stats don't look great. Athleticism's off the charts. 3-4 with A-zone coverage. You can almost bypass the other stats. I also had, I think his name was Barrington. Look at this guy. 3 A's and a C. Also elite. All right, so there's the linebacker. 3rd, 4th round. Maybe, maybe have to get him in the 2nd. D-tackle. So the D-tackle, Biggers, 320. He can play defensive end, right? We got Derek Brown. He's 320. He plays D-end. You kick Biggers out to defensive end. Biggers, okay? And look at this guy right here. Jose Burrows, 406 pounds with 44 reps on the bench press. Get that guy to be our nose tackle. And then you have the other 2 guys. Like, that would work. He's 3rd, 4th. That's the thing that sucks about that round. But we should be able to make it happen. And then at wide receiver, this guy looks incredible. Kyle Foster out of Florida State. 6'1", 176. A-deep, BBC. Ran a 4.24. That's the guy that I want. The question will be coming, can we trust the mock draft? Where do they have Foster going in this draft? And can I trade up? He's going 10th. I want to be aggressive. We didn't have a deep playoff run, but deep enough that is going to cost a lot, I think. But if it's future picks, I'll make that deal. But we got to see right now what that is going to cost. And looking at the trade, they want our first this year, first next year, 3 firsts. Again, trading is on difficult, so they're not going to give us a deal. But I think in the context of what it's going to just cost us for this rebuild, cost us a 1st and a 6th round this year. And I think that wide receiver, the 4.24 with the A's, is going to be good enough as long as he's available. And we don't get lied to. If we get lied to, I think this is going to be a cursed 5th and final season. But I'm going to trust the mock draft, and he's going to be there at pick 10. And we're going to be able to make this happen. 2nd round, we'll get the linebacker. He's gone. No, he's still there. He's still there. Kyle Foster. How is he going to... How is all these names here... I think we might have been able to wait. I think that mock draft lied to us, and we overpaid. But we'll go Kyle Foster. Now let's get our linebacker and D-tackle. I think at 27... I think we go linebacker first. But I guess we could see how much the D-tackle spot is deplenished. We got Darryl Rowe, 4'10". He's 4'10" and 406. And linebacker, Kevin Hall still there. We'll go, I think we go Barrington here. And then we get D-tackle. 4'11". That's the heaviest player I've ever seen. No. It's annoying. I mean, can't expect to get everybody you want. And I mean, if we got the pivot here, Travis McClain, 6'3", 304, he could, a finesse move. It's not bad, athletically speaking. That's a pretty damn good athlete, all things considered. Could be a hell of a consolation prize. 86 acceleration, 74 speed, 90 strength. I mean, he could be a low-key like 70, 71 and have to plug and play for us here this year. So take a look at our draft recap. Kyle Foster, 77 hidden dev. Is that worth 3 first-round picks? Probably not. Did I have to pay 3 first-round picks? Probably not. Would you ever trade 3 first-round picks for a wide receiver 3? Probably not. But 96 speed, 93 acceleration, 82 catching, 85 spec, 89 jumping, 95 agility, 96 change of direction. If he's an X factor, we're not going to question, what we traded to go get him. Putting him with Luther Burden is terrifying. Shaden Barrington, 74 hidden dev. He's going to be a day 1 starter. Let's see if his rating shifts up or down. It should probably stay the same schematically. It should look the same, but he is going to be our Shaq Thompson replacement. Stays the same. McLean, 71. We got Kenya Hooks at LSU, a 74 corner late. So just an outstanding draft. I do, though, out of just morbid curiosity, want to see these fat guys. How good were they? I think they both went in the 3rd round. Let's see here. Where's the D tackles at? Daryl Rowe. Was he one of the big boys? 4-something? Daryl Rowe, 4'10", 70... That's outrageous to be 410 pounds and only have 94 strength. Usually these guys have like 96 minimum. What's the dev trait? I mean, maybe in an alternate universe, it's superstar. Maybe in an alternate universe, I would have saw 410, got him. Let's just see out of curiosity. I mean, it could be a different effect. But if I would have got him at 3rd round, would that linebacker make it to us? The middle line. Look. Would he fucking ever? We would have been able to get Kevin Hall, the other fast linebacker, who popped with a dev trait. So that we messed up. We messed up in the 2nd round. We should have went D tackle. Would have still ended up with a hidden dev linebacker. It's only a star dev, but still plenty. I mean, that guy's crazy. Let's also look at the other D tackle. Where's my boy? Burrows. And what is he? 73 hidden dev. This is the guy that we hope was going to fall to us. Only missed him by a couple picks, which is frustrating. This could have been an all-time year 5 draft. So they go their squad in our 5th and final year, looking for a 3rd Super Bowl of the rebuild. The bad news is that Bryce Young lost his superstar after a pedestrian season last year, but he has still been an awesome player for us, and I'm not going to hold it against him. We got Chuba Hubbard up to an 89 superstar. Luther Burden will join the 99 club sooner than later. Kyle Foster, very expensive luxury pick, but one you got to kind of make when you want to be aggressive. I'm excited to see what he can do. Iquanu, 93 superstar. Across the board, though, I mean, it'd be cool to get Johnny Wilson to the 90s. Going from just kind of a mismatched oddity at wide receiver into a really good tight end. On the defensive side, well, couldn't get that 3-4 defensive end that we wanted. I do think in a perfect world, we get that superstar nose tackle. Move him out to left end. Have Brown there. But, oh, Barrington's dev! We unveiled it with the coach spending his, or whatever the hell. You know, you unveil a dev trait, and it's superstar. So that's pretty cool. I'm surprised we didn't use it on the wide receiver. But we use the instant dev trait unlock, and we get a superstar in Barrington. That's a hell of a replacement immediately for Shaq Thompson. Everyone else ready to run it back with their dev traits. Had no dev trait regression, obviously outside of the most important player on this whole goddamn thing in Bryce Young. But still optimistic. He's going to have a bounce back year, and we're going to put our best foot forward here in year 5 to get our 3rd Super Bowl. And we finished year 5 with a 12-5 record. Our offense bounced back. Our defense was at least serviceable, competitive enough. We got the 1 seed somehow, some way, with a modest record. Usually it takes 14 wins. 12-5 to the 1 seed. I mean, we'll take it. Bounce back year, though, for Bryce Young. Hell yeah. 10 more touchdowns, 4,000 yards, 40 bomb. So losing his superstar dev trait was the kick in the ass that he needed. Another stellar year from Chuba Hubbard, 1,400 yards, 12 touchdowns. Love seeing that as a Canadian. Very patriotic. Luther Burden is a machine in the slot. Seattle Seahawks playbook, slot wide receiver. 106 catches, 1,600 yards, 22 touchdowns. Michael Pittman, not justifying the price tag. Kyle Foster, 500 yards as a superstar. I kind of think for him to justify the 3 first-round picks need to be an X factor, but a superstar is pretty close. Given the fact that, honestly, I don't have to pay for making that trade whatsoever in this rebuild. It's a luxury. stretching the realism, I suppose, of a realistic rebuild. But I'm happy with that move. That's maybe what we needed to open things up for Luther Burden a little bit. Defensively, Frankie Louvu, 100 tackles. We got the sacks kind of fell out. Braylon Trice, though, our very first premier pick of this rebuild, had his career year in year 5. Better late than ever. 13 TFLs, 8 sacks for Brian Burns, 6.5 for Derek Brown. We got 3 picks, Cam Curl, 2 for the Horn Dog. Looking at the yearly awards, I don't know if we have named Bryce. Would have been cool to win an MVP with him. He's been on the list. He's been in the mix, but never really a season where it's like, yes, you got to win it. Offensive player goes to Luther Burden. He has been absolutely incredible. Bryce Young wins quarterback of the year. I believe that's the second time he's won that award. Luther Burden, wide receiver of the year. We had runner-up for lineman of the year, Bradley Samuels. Guy we drafted a couple seasons ago. So pretty happy with all that. A quick look at the career stats of everyone here in this rebuild before we embark on our final playoff journey. 23,000 yards passing, 184 tuds for Bryce Young. He's been good. He's been good. I honestly think he's been great. He hasn't been S-tier. He hasn't been that MVP X-Factor type guy, but he has been good. Did great. And through 6 seasons, 184, you played 12 years. You know, maybe he's probably like fringe Hall of Fame pace, I think it'd be fair to say. Especially the fact that he has 2 Super Bowls already. It's probably a pretty good chance that he makes it. Chuba Hubbard, 1 more year, would have got 10K yards rushing for a Canadian. That is unheard of. 77 rushing touchdowns as well. Love that he was a success story here. Michael Pittman, obviously split some time between us and the Colts. I like more so. Look at Luther Burden through 4 seasons. 4! He has had 383 catches, 5,500 yards, 61 touchdowns. Hall of Fame pace for Luther Burden. Everything we could have asked for. Investing a top 10 pick in him. Johnny Wilson carved out a nice career for us as well. Serviceable, reliable tight end. Frankie Louvu there, 700 tackles. That would be just looking at the list. He's top 5 all time, which is cool for like a gadget player. We got 98 career sacks for Brian Burns, so 1 more season he'd break the 100. And probably be the 2nd best pass rusher in Panthers history after the great Julius Peppers. 55.5 for Derek Brown. We got the Horn Dog here. I want to see how many picks he got. 22. Let's go. That actually might be the best. That might be the highest we've had in-house in a rebuild for a guy that didn't already have a bunch of sacks, like a veteran or anything like that. So that's cool. He did a lot of that with us, including a 9-interception DB of the year type season. So here we are in year 5, our final playoff journey, looking to get our 3rd Super Bowl and have this be easily the most successful realistic rebuild we've done in Madden 24. It already is because we have 2 Super Bowls, but we get 3. That is going to be very, very tough to beat. Up first in the divisional round, we're taking on the Giants, who have an average offense, but a pretty good defense. Top 10 defense. So it's really going to be our offense against their defense. Who is going to win? Fuck. 31-24 we fall. And it wasn't due to our quarterback, Bryce Young. Decent game. 250 yards to round up. 3 total touchdowns. Oh, that's a wet fart. That's a little anticlimactic, to be honest with you. But, all in all, not the finish we wanted, but the rebuild we want. The rebuild Panther fans deserve for enduring. I think if we sim right to the end, Bryce Young clearly is going to be back up to a superstar. Luther Burden, this guy, Kyle Foster, was great. Luther freaking Burden, though. Yeah, cat's out of the bag if you use my 2025 draft class available on Xbox Next Gen. I do plan this weekend, hopefully before the Super Bowl, just going off of Bengals' last update, kind of tweaking. There's a couple duplicate players. Not a lot. I think there's 2. Maybe only 1. Javon Solomon, the edge rusher from Troy. But I'm going to be able to go through. I'm going to update my draft class very soon, if not this weekend, next week. But the cat's out of the bag. You want the stud wide receiver, Luther Burden, unless you want to get freaky with Travis Hunter. Luther Burden is going to be the guy you want. Absolute stud. One of my favorite players in all college football. He's going to be next year's Marvin Harrison Jr. Everyone talks about him as the stud. He's undisputed, barring injury. Wide receiver 1 in 2025. And he was everything that, maybe even more, setting a Hall of Fame pace. Like, he started as hot as Justin Jefferson did for the Vikings IRL. So, that will do it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. As always, if you're first time stopping by, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, smash the like button if you enjoyed. Let me know in the comment section below what rebuild you guys want to see next. I saw through some of the comments, the Jets were a popular team. The Commanders were a popular team. The Saints were a popular team. Vikings were a popular team. But I will go with which one you guys want to see next the most. So please let me know in the comment section below. And until next time, it's your boy C4 saying peace out, love ya. Have a good one.